Welcome back. My name is Matt Reiners, and I'm the co-founder of Eversound, a company dedicated to improving quality of life for older adults by giving them the gift of hearing. Today, I'm joined by Stacy Shewey, the founder and CEO for Hands4Life. I had a chance to hear more about Stacy's story and what Hands4Life is doing in this world, and it's one of those stories and one of those causes that I think our listeners need to hear about. So thanks for joining me today, Stacy.
Thanks for having me.
So Stacy, before we jump into a Hands4Life, I'm curious, what's your background in?
Well, I started out in the hospitality industry. So I worked for Hyatt Corporation, and then I was an entrepreneur, owned my own hospitality company where we owned and operated small boutique hotels and restaurants. And we moved from Illinois down to Florida 4 years ago, and I sold my business and didn't want to start something new, and have always had a passion for seniors. And so my mom actually is the one that recommended that I seek a job in the senior living industry. And so I applied for a position of executive director for a assisted living memory care community. So
Very
a little
cool.
bit of both industries there.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of relevant things from the hospitality to the senior living. And it's so cool that like your mom could identify and recognize that you'd be good for this and kind of just jumped in 2 feet first. I love that.
Yeah.
And I know you've kind of been on this mission now for Hands4Life. So, for those listeners that aren't familiar with it, what is Hands4Life?
Well, Hands4Life is a nonprofit that I started 3 years ago. And I left my position as executive director and really felt this calling to do something great in the world and follow my passion, though, to care for seniors. And I was encouraged by a friend of mine. He said, "What would be your perfect job?" And I said, "Well, I would go work running assisted living, but in developing nations." And he said, "Well, go do that." So Hands4Life is caring for the seniors in places where they have nobody and no one. And we want to really solve a problem. We want to not just build assisted living, but we want to change, focus on why are seniors considered inherently less valuable as we age. So how do we address that? So what the vision is that we need to get to the younger generation, and we need to educate that younger generation about the circle of life, that your parents cared for you. There may come a time when you have to care for them. So in developing countries, we are building an intergenerational education campus. And we have a home where we pair orphan children with orphan older adults. And the seniors impart their wisdom on the children, and the children get to learn about honoring and respecting their elders.
I love that. That's beautiful. It's such a great mission. And I feel like, we're all seeking some sort of level of social connection, and to be able to do that is important. And it's great to hear what Hands4Life is. And I know I've read a little bit about the story and you've told me, but is there anything in particular that inspired this?
Well, like I said earlier, I've always had a love for that older generation. I grew up with my grandparents living under the same roof that we did. So I had grandma and grandpa in the same house. So if I didn't like what mom was making for dinner, I could run downstairs and see what grandma was cooking, and just valued the stories of the past and valued that they were sharing the culture and just their wisdom. So when I got older and started having children, my parents, knew that value as well. So they lived right next door to us. So this intergenerational family has been something that I have the privilege of witnessing firsthand the importance of it. And doing it in developing nations, a couple of reasons why, here in the States, we all know that baby boomers are coming to age and we're trying to keep up on building assisted living and staffing them. But what a lot of people don't realize that we're in a global aging crisis, that right now 60% of the world's elderly population live in developing nations, and that is going up to 80%. And in these countries, they don't have a plan to care for these people. There's not, government funding. There's not charitable organizations. There's not really assisted living. So when I was doing mission work in Haiti, I got to see firsthand the problems that are there, where in these cultures, the younger generation flee the country to find better opportunities. So mom and dad can't make that track, so they get left behind. Or a lot of times, there's just lack of education of the aging process, and they don't know what dementia is or Alzheimer's. So if, mom is exhibiting confusion and doesn't remember who you are, they think that they're possessed by a demon and they get shunned and outcasted. Wow. And there's also a lot of, voodoo, and the problems are so many of why. So what we are trying to do is really we have just one campus per country, and we don't want to go in there and be the big heroes. We just want to stay in the background, and we want to educate and empower the nationals to take care of their own. So we pour into, on our campus, just 14 older adults and 14 children. And we really train up the children. The older adults will teach the kids their trade, so it gives purpose and dignity to the seniors. And then we're rewriting these children's narratives. Instead of at 18 being put out on the street, they now have job skills and they have life skills. And it keeps them out of their only option being joining a gang or being sucked into the human trafficking. So we have community outreach programs too, to help shore up the family, because we know keeping families together is like the best model. So we help families who are struggling to care for their aging parent, and we teach the caregiver just simple things on proper transfers or on the different diseases that they may be struggling with, dementia, diabetes. And we help families struggling to care for their children too. So the ripple effects are great in the work that we're doing.
I love that. And, how can people who are listening to this or just kind of come across, Hands4Life, how can they help support your mission?
Oh, well, we're doing sponsor a grandparent, sponsor a grandchild program. So they can become a monthly sponsor and share videos. We play videos to the grandparent and then they send them back. We are looking for corporate sponsors too in the senior living world. So if we partner with a senior living community, it offers them the opportunity for their activities director to do like a Zoom call with our residents in our community, and they can kind of have like a pen pal type program going. We're looking for just individual sponsorships to, fund we're a nonprofit, so we need funding. And we have a lot of volunteer opportunities, social media, marketing, everything. We're going to be putting together teams to come up with the operations. What's the best way? There's no regulations in these countries. What's the best way that we can operate this assisted living? So we'll be putting think tank teams together. So we're looking for people with different expertise in the senior living and also in the child aspect of it.
So I'm curious if you think back even just 5 years, did you ever think you would get into doing something like this? I mean, it feels like such just a really cool thing. And just I applaud you and your team's efforts for just putting good energy into the world.
Yeah, and this is definitely not something I could have come up with. This really, truly was a calling, and God gave me this vision, and it started out small, just assisted living. And over the course of the last couple of years, the vision just has been growing into this beautiful vision where we are today, of bringing the two generations together, and the importance of just the younger generation caring for the older and vice versa, passing along. And so we're really going for generational change and solving problems. So yeah, this is definitely a God thing.
Yeah, no, I love it. And, you talked about the campus in Haiti and all the good stuff there, but I'm curious, what's next for you all?
Well, we have two projects going right now. We have a project going in Honduras, and we have a project going in Nigeria. And the next steps, we are in our fundraising. We have to raise to build both of these campuses. We have to raise $5.2 million over the course of the next 3 years. The Nigeria campus will go first, and then the Honduras one. And it is our plan. Again, we are not about building things. It's just one campus. And the vision is that the people will train them up, teach them, and then they go out and they take our business model and we wrap it up in a nice bow and we send them out into their country so they can establish the best assisted living and start caring for their own. And our vision is that we plant a campus in a developing nation every 3 years.
You hit the nail on the head, because when we think of this changing in demographic and the aging sphere, right? A lot of it is just, our perspectives on the US, right? And that's kind of where we're thinking, and everyone's building for the baby boomers and expecting this. But to your point, I mean, it's a whole global aging thing, and to be able to help beyond just our own borders here, and help some of those people that are a little bit less fortunate. I mean, it's important work, Stacy. So again, I applaud your efforts from afar here, and just love what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's interesting because, like I said earlier, there's no regulations in these countries. There's nothing established there. So we get to go from ground zero and build what we think is the best. We're using biophilic design in the construction and principles of, from the Blue Zone project on how do we increase longevity and quality of life. So people here that we're collaborating with in the United States and the senior living are really interested in what we can do to design this kind of utopia project, and then bring back those aspects that work well there, bring them back here to the United States to make some change.
I love it. Well, Stacy, thanks so much for joining us here today. I know our viewers and listeners will get a lot out of this, and I will make sure to put your guys' website in the comments and in the description here. So thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.